You guys can see the presentation? Okay, cool.
Yes, it's so cute.
Oh, thank you. Courtesy of Canva. So turn off music. Okay, so hi, welcome to Love Languages and Self-Care, the Art of Loving with Intention with me, Aleisha. I'm a third-year film and digital media student. I've been an RA for 2 years and a PA for 1, and I also work for the Sustainability Office as a little bit of background. Today's agenda is going over the basics of what a love language is, basically all 5 love languages: quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, and acts of service, the difference between giving and receiving, and also going into how love languages can actually be used for self-care as opposed to just doing it to other people. And then of course a wrap up at the end. We'll keep this music on. So what is a love language? It's a super popular term, but what does it actually mean? The term love language was actually popularized by Gary Chapman, which is the author of the wildly popular book titled The 5 Love Languages and How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate. And this book was then followed by other popular books like this one that I featured here called The 5 Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts. And there's Gary Chapman on the side there smiling. Love languages categorize the most common ways people prefer to be loved, and oftentimes people have more than one love language. So you can usually have like 2 or 3, but there's usually like one main one that you stick to. Generally speaking, there are 5 love languages. There's physical touch, acts of service, receiving gifts, words of affirmation, and quality time. We'll be going over each of the love languages, what they mean, and activities you can do to love yourself in the best way possible. So usually love languages are meant for couples, friends, and family, because that's how Gary Chapman actually intended for people to use them. But love languages can also be used for self-care. For quality time is really about getting to know yourself and being comfortable and confident with spending time with yourself. People with quality time love languages enjoy grounding themselves and deepening their connection to the world, whether it be through nature or various activities. So if you are a mainly quality time love language person, you enjoy spending time doing your hobbies, being around people who recharge you, and taking your time to assess your feelings. You also like indulging each of your senses. You like to learn more about yourself, and of course, taking time off of school and work for relaxation also makes you feel recharged. You can also be without roommates or housemates and still feel fully content about your time. However, you begin to feel drained when you don't schedule you time, when you forget to indulge in your senses, and you constantly put others first. You also don't like having alone time that you don't know what to do with, and having family and friends expect time from you. For physical touch, people with physical touch love language relish in their sense of touch being used and feel most grounded when they do. For example, if you have a physical touch love language, you feel best when you are wrapped in a textured or plush fabric. You like when you can hug or kiss a loved one, maybe if you plan intimate time with yourself or with the loved one, or take your time with your skincare routine. You feel good when you use high quality lotions and body washes, take long showers and baths, and stay active. However, people with a physical touch love language can start to feel drained when they ignore or suppress their physical urges, which can include basic needs or sexual tensions, and can't hug or interact with loved ones. They can also start to feel drained when they forget to indulge with their sense of touch, don't stretch or massage, and don't make the time to make sure that they're well groomed. The next one is words of affirmation, and people with this love language feel at best when they can hear or speak positivity into their life. These people often talk to themselves or enjoy leaving notes pinned to boards or hidden in journals. So if you have a words of affirmation love language, you feel your best when you can journal your thoughts and feelings, you can speak or hear positive thoughts and affirmations, create intentions for your day, or hear from others that you're doing well and that you're wanted. You also feel good if you can write a positive letter to yourself, leave good notes for yourself around your room maybe, and get positive feedback from your professors and supervisors. You love hearing that stuff like that. Hearing it from somebody else can actually reassure yourself that you're doing okay and that people want you around. On the other hand, people with the words of affirmation love language start to feel drained when you can't convert your feelings or thoughts into words, when you feel like no one's listening to you, or when you hear yourself speaking negatively to yourself. They can also start to feel drained when they repeat harsh or harmful thoughts to themselves. The next one is receiving gifts, and this love language isn't as materialistic as the name suggests, but it actually focuses on the thought behind receiving a present. Good gifts can also prove that a loved one was listening to you. So buying personal gifts that provide a tangible, real-world reminder of the role you play, in other people's lives, can actually represent like your achievements and how much they care for you. So even though receiving gifts sounds like a materialistic love language, it really isn't, and it's about the thought that goes into the gift that's there, and it's a personal and tangible reminder of what that gift represents. So if you have this love language, budgeting money specifically for gifting things to yourself can make you feel good, along with the thought that goes into the gifts that you give each other and other people. You feel good when you receive a thoughtful note from a loved one, or you can tell someone was listening to you by the type of gift that they give you. On the other hand, if someone gifts you a generic or poorly thought out gift, that can actually hit pretty hard and make you feel like they don't actually care about that. They don't actually care about you. And if you put a lot of time into someone's present and then they don't put that much time into your present, it can make it feel kind of crappy. Purchasing small gifts for yourself is also a really nice thing. And if you forget to do that over time, you might not feel as content. And if you don't receive any cards, texts, anything that kind of proves like a tangible thing that people are thinking about you on like your birthday or something, that can actually hit pretty close to home as well. I think the last one is acts of service, if I'm not mistaken. And people with this love language like to do tasks for others that they normally wouldn't want to do. It's meaningful to them when someone knows that they're busy and there's a quick chore for them to lighten their schedule. For example, if your partner decides to fill up your car with gas before you go to work, that small thing can mean a lot to you because they're going out of their way to do something for you to make your day easier. So in terms of self-care, you could finish a chore for a loved one that they did not want to do, or you could do a favor for a friend during their time of need. That usually makes people with acts of service love languages feel good. On the other hand, too, like if a family member does something for you to help you when you're busy, that can also make you feel good too. And completing your tasks ahead of time to ease your calendar for later, kind of like doing an act of service for yourself in the future, can be the same sort of feeling. That being said, if you do favors for other people and they never return the favor, eventually it can start to feel like it's one-sided. If you consistently open up your schedule for other people, even if you're busy and they still don't return the favor, that can make you feel even more drained. If you have to ask your loved one to do household chores consistently, that doesn't feel good either. And finally, if you notice your friends or loved ones offer to help you out of guilt instead of love, if someone is saying that they want to help you because they feel like they're obligated to, that feels different than doing it because they want to and they love you. So while listening to all these love languages, it's important to remember to love others the way they want to be loved instead of how you want to be loved. It's equally important to love yourself in a way that best suits you as well. For example, if your love language is quality time, constantly buying yourself gifts might not make you feel loved, which is why maybe going out to the store and doing shopping therapy doesn't work for everybody, but it might work for some people. So since we're talking about love languages so much, it only makes sense for us to take the quiz and figure out what we are. So I'll open up the chat. 1 second. The chat wasn't opening up for me, so give me 1 sec. So here are the results. And I did not expect for us to be like shunning physical touch, words of affirmation, and receiving gifts so much. I guess everyone in the room is like super quality time, super acts of service. Pretty interesting to see like it's split this way. Any thoughts from anybody? Okay, then we'll move on then. Can you guys see my presentation? Cool, okay, continue then. So here I have some self-care tips depending on your main love languages, since you now know what your love languages are. So if your love language is quality time, I'd recommend scheduling 30 minutes a day to journal your thoughts and emotions, or to try a centering activity like painting, gardening, or exercising, since quality time love languages really focus on spending time with yourself and who you are as a soul and as a person. So doing any sort of activities that enrich that relationship between yourself and yourself is important and should make you feel good. If you have a mainly physical touch love language, you can take your time in the bath or shower and experiment with high quality skincare products, and invest in a cozy blanket and a comfortable resting space. Maybe like get little string lights above your bed and, I don't know, like a really nice blanket to tuck yourself into. And that could probably really hone to your senses of touch to help with your physical touch love language. If you're acts of service, you could finish your chores and assignments early and commit to using that free time for personal recharge. Don't use that free time for work or for productivity or anything else but recharging yourself, and relish in the feeling of you gave yourself time. Allow yourself to use your sick and off days. Don't let those days go to waste if you have an acts of service love language. If you have a receiving gifts love language, set aside some money to treat yourself at the end of the week. Remember that small and meaningful gifts can be just as effective as bigger and more flashy gifts. And finally, if you have a words of affirmation love language, remember to leave yourself encouraging notes and make time to call your loved ones that support you. Look into investing in therapy sessions where you can get a different and more positive perspective and hear other people tell you what you need to hear. So with that, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you for coming to our self-care event. If you stick around, we have some other cool events happening right after this.